Hi, Olga. We're starting with a victory for French President Emmanuel Macron on the issue of so-called posted workers.
That's right. So Macron had been leading the push to tighten rules on temporary migrant workers, what are being referred to here as posted workers. After 18 months of talks and another 12 hours of negotiations on Monday, EU labour ministers have finally agreed to some of those reforms. Rebecca Rossman reports.
After nearly 12 hours of negotiations, a compromise. European labour ministers gathered in Luxembourg on Monday evening to discuss reforming the issue of posted workers, the practice that allows citizens of one country to work elsewhere in the Union, receiving higher salaries than at home, but still lower than the local labour force. They agreed posted workers abroad will be capped at 18 months, and a 4-year transition period will take place between any final agreement on the reform and it taking effect.
I believe we have found a balanced compromise that takes into account the interests of the workers and the employers of the posting and host countries. It protects the rights of the employees while not disrupting the free movement of services.
One notable exception to the agreement is transport workers, like truck drivers, who are temporarily exempt from the new regulations, much to the chagrin of French President Emmanuel Macron, who wants to see them included. Macron, who had called for the reform, otherwise saluted what he called an ambitious agreement. But some countries had not been so willing. Hungary, Lithuania, Latvia and Poland all stated they were unable to support the proposal. The issue had proven divisive for the Union, pitting poorer, often Eastern countries against their richer Western counterparts. Several Eastern countries still support the practice, saying lower wages allow them to compete and catch up with wealthier Western neighbours.
Moving on now, EU President Donald Tusk put pressure on the UK to move forward stalled Brexit talks, saying the final outcome of those talks is up to London, not Brussels. In a debrief at the European Parliament in Strasbourg, Tusk called for unity among the 27 remaining governments in the EU, reminding that Brexit is still the toughest test for the EU. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker also calling for unity, saying the EU wants a fair deal with Britain. Let's listen to a bit of Tusk's speech.
The EU will be able to rise to every scenario as long as we are not divided. It is in fact up to London how this will end, with a good deal, no deal, or no Brexit. But in each of these scenarios, we will protect our common interest only by being together.
Note that Tusk actually does leave the door open for the UK to cancel Brexit altogether. Let's turn to the markets now. European shares were mostly higher, with Paris's CAC 40 leading the gains, up more than 0.2%. Investors are now looking ahead to Thursday, when the European Central Bank is expected to announce it's reducing financial stimulus. Over in Asia, markets were also mostly green, with the Nikkei closing up 0.5%, extending its record-breaking streak to 16 straight days of gains. Hong Kong, the only index trading down more than 0.5%. And finally, the International Organization of Vine and Wine reported today that worldwide wine production fell more than 8% this year, hitting a 50-year low. The organization blames climate fluctuations for the drop in output, which is largely due to steep drops in the top 3 wine-producing countries, Italy, France, and Spain. Not the happiest news, kind of makes you want to have a glass of wine.
That's for sure. Thanks for that, Anka.
Thanks,